How BRICS is chipping away at the Western Order is an article linked up on Mark13News.com for July 21st, 2025, and is obviously more anti-unipolar propaganda stemming from the Kenites on the multipolar end of the globalist spectrum, as nation continues to rise against nation, meaning the Kenite nation rising against itself through two warring factions within the shadow government thereof, which is symbolized by the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8. As you can see in the article, the rest of the world is starting to ask why a system created in 1945 should still define the rules of the 21st century. For a long time, emerging powers like Brazil, China, India, and South Africa largely accepted this structure. However, with the global economic landscape shifting and the world becoming more multipolar, they're pushing back. BRICS is the most visible platform for that push, and it's the multipolarist Kenites who, for the most part, control Edom through the Russian Federation, as the Ezekiel 38 Confederacy continues to formulate, headed by Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, meaning most likely Moscow and Tobolsk. The unipolarist Kenites, for the most part, control the left-right paradigm, which is symbolized by Ammon and Moab, which are really Stalinism and Trotskyism, but there are also the hidden agents of Edom working covertly within the political parties and media outlets of the West. And then, as you can see in an article published on July 23rd, 2025, called Sanctions on Putin Have Boomeranged Against the West, the grand strategy of American neoconservatives, meaning the Trotskyites, which again are symbolized by Moab, inspired by Zbigniew Brzezinski's vision in The Grand Chessboard, a book published in 1997 aimed to secure U.S. unipolar hegemony by severing the economic bond between a resource-rich Russia and manufacturing a powerhouse Germany in the Eurasian landmass, by rendering Europe a geopolitical vassal dependent on American energy and security. The United States, which is the current king of the South according to the Daniel 11 hypothesis on biblicalresearchlabs.com, could maintain global dominance. But no matter what the Kenites do to establish the vision, meaning the vision of a global government, they shall fall, as you can see in Daniel chapter 11 verse 14. That word translated as fall there is from a Hebrew word, which in this case means to fail, because there will be no new world order, as it's called, meaning the one world political system of Revelation 13, until the great horn of the he-goat, which is the United Nations, gets broken, after which the four beasts of Daniel chapter 7 emerge at the woe of the fifth trumpet, when Satan and his angels get cast to earth. Daniel's fourth beast being exclusively supernatural, and it's also at the woe of the fifth trumpet that the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8 becomes the leopard of Daniel chapter 7, which is symbolic of the Kenites and their four hidden dynasties, providing the infrastructure of the so-called New World Order, that again won't come into being until the woe of the fifth trumpet, which is also in the Ezekiel 38 Confederacy, becomes the bear of Daniel chapter 7. The lion of Daniel chapter 7 is symbolic of the Christian nations until just after the deadly wound to the one world political system, when Satan appears as the Antichrist at the woe of the sixth trumpet, which is when it goes from being a one world political system to a one world religious system, when most Christians begin worshiping Satan instead of Christ, which is what Antichrist means. The true Christ won't return until the woe of the seventh trumpet, immediately after the 2.5 months that begin at the sixth trumpet, or 70 evenings, which are what the 70 years in captivity to the Babylon of old were a type of.